5 shocking things that happened after Jesus died. You won't believe number 4. Imagine a moment that changed the course of history, a moment when the world seemed to shatter, and yet, in that same moment, the world was being completely transformed. That moment, of course, was the death of Jesus Christ. Whether you're a devout believer or simply curious about the impact of one man's life, there's something undeniably powerful about what happened after Jesus died on that cross. Today, we're going to dive into 5 profound events that unfolded in the hours, days, and even years after Jesus' crucifixion. These events are so mind-blowing that they challenge everything we thought we knew about life, death, and the divine. From the cosmic upheaval in the sky to the ripple effects of Jesus' death on the very fabric of human history, you might find yourself questioning things you've never questioned before. So, buckle up. We're about to explore 5 things that happened after Jesus died. And trust me, these aren't just stories from an ancient text. They are stories that continue to affect the world, even today. 1. The earth shook and the veil was torn. You've probably heard about the earthquake that rocked the earth when Jesus died. But what if I told you that this wasn't just an ordinary natural event? What if this earthquake was a sign that something far more significant was happening in the spiritual realm? When Jesus breathed his last breath, the Bible tells us that the earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. Matthew 27:51. Imagine the ground beneath you suddenly trembling, as if creation itself was in mourning. But that wasn't all. The veil of the temple, the thick curtain that separated the Holy of Holies from the rest of the temple, was torn in 2 from top to bottom. This veil was said to represent the separation between humanity and God, a boundary that no one could cross, until now. Jesus' death on the cross had bridged that gap. For centuries, only the high priest could enter the Holy of Holies, and that was once a year, offering sacrifices to atone for the sins of the people. But now, the veil was gone, symbolizing that anyone could approach God directly with no intermediary. The death of Jesus opened a new way for us all. 2. The resurrection of the dead. This one might sound like something straight out of a fantasy movie, but it's a moment in history recorded in the Bible that is truly jaw-dropping. When the earthquake struck and the veil tore, something extraordinary happened. The tombs broke open, and the bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. Matthew 27:52. Wait, what? Dead people coming back to life? Yeah, that's exactly what the text says. Think about it. After Jesus died, there were literally people walking around who had been dead for years, maybe even decades. Imagine seeing your loved one, who you thought was gone forever, suddenly back in your life, telling you stories of the afterlife. This resurrection wasn't just a freak occurrence. It was a profound declaration that through Jesus' death, life had won. Death no longer had the final say. The resurrection of these holy people was a foretaste of what was to come for Jesus himself and for anyone who believed in him. Death was no longer the end. It was the beginning of a new life. 3. The centurion's declaration. Truly, this was the Son of God. One of the most surprising reactions to Jesus' death came from someone who would have been expected to remain indifferent or even hostile towards him, the Roman centurion who oversaw Jesus' crucifixion. As he watched Jesus die, he must have seen something extraordinary. He heard Jesus' last words, saw the supernatural darkness, felt the tremors in the earth, and witnessed the dead rising from their graves. And it all led him to a declaration that no one could have expected. Surely this man was the Son of God. Mark 15:39. This wasn't just a passing statement. The centurion, a hardened soldier used to executing criminals, had come to the conclusion that Jesus wasn't just a man. There was something divine about him, and this Roman soldier's declaration was just the beginning of many more to come. People who had once been enemies of Jesus would eventually become his followers, realizing that his death meant victory, not defeat. 4. The miraculous darkness and the cosmic significance of Jesus' death. For 3 hours, from noon to 3 p.m., the world went dark. Total darkness enveloped the land in the middle of the day. No one knows exactly why it happened, but we do know that it wasn't a natural eclipse. This was something more, something far more significant. This darkness was a sign that something cosmic was happening. Some scholars believe that the darkness was symbolic of God's judgment falling on sin, as Jesus bore the weight of the world's transgressions. Others believe it was God's mourning over the death of his Son, as the earth seemed to mirror the sorrow in heaven. But whatever the reason, that darkness was a moment of divine significance, a supernatural event that marked the death of Jesus as more than just an ordinary death. The death of Jesus wasn't just a tragic event in the life of one man. It was a cosmic moment that rippled through the entire universe, altering the course of history and creation itself. 5. The birth of the Christian Church. You might think that after Jesus died, his movement would have fallen apart. But instead, something incredible happened. From the ashes of his death arose the birth of the Christian Church, a movement that would span centuries and transform the world. After Jesus' death, his disciples, who had been terrified and confused, found their courage and their purpose. They became bold witnesses of Jesus' resurrection, spreading his message of love, redemption, and hope. The message of the gospel, the good news that Jesus died for the sins of the world and rose again, began to spread like wildfire. What started as a small, persecuted group of Jesus followers quickly grew into a global movement that continues to impact the world today. The church was born through the death of Jesus, and through it, countless lives would be changed. 5 things happened after Jesus died that forever changed the world. The veil was torn, the dead were raised. A Roman centurion declared Jesus as the Son of God. Darkness covered the land, and most importantly, the church was born. These events remind us that Jesus' death wasn't just a historical moment. It was the pivotal moment in the history of the world. His sacrifice didn't end in defeat. It ended in victory, and it continues to echo through the ages. Maybe you're watching this and wondering what all of this means for you today. The truth is, these events are just as relevant now as they were 2,000 years ago. The death of Jesus opened a new way for us to connect with God, to find hope, and to experience new life. So, whether you're someone of faith or just someone curious about the story of Jesus, remember this: his death changed everything, and it can still change your life today. Drop a comment below if any of these moments blew your mind, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, God bless.